Now, we'd like to call, please, on Padraig and Shane to come up and say a few words. And we're going to mic you up here, lads. So you had a nice, pleasant start to the year. A couple of weeks in Hawaii, bit of sun on your back, and a great start to the year with a T6 at the Hyundai Tournament of Champions.
Yeah, I've actually been criticising. Shane got it right tonight. He says good start, which sixth place is a good start. It's not a great start. Winning is a great start. So I was shocked how many of my fellow pros or friends were ecstatic about my performance, and I was going, well, let's get it in perspective. We're out there to try and win, at least in my head. Maybe in other people's heads, sixth place is a good. It is a good week, but it's not great. It's not like what you're striving to get. So one of the worst things in the States is a lot of players will pat each other on the back when they finish 15th, because that's kind of the threshold of $100,000. But 15th, you haven't really put your neck on the line. You've got to be top three in order for it to be a big week in terms of getting nervous, getting excited, and it's all about getting yourself into that position of trying to win, even if you don't win.
And last week, Padraig, I mean, you finished well down the field, but you were very, very pleased. You were very pleased with your performance. I know you were well down, but you said in your blog that you were very, very happy with the way things were going, with the way you were striking the ball and with your putting.
Am I on here? Okay, yeah. I had a strange thing, and the first 2 days of the last tournament, I hit 5 fairways and 6 fairways, and it was on a golf course. You had to hit the fairway because you hit it in the rough, you're getting huge flyers, and you were completely out of place, lots of trees. But I played great from the trees. I was 9 under par after 40 holes, having hit only 11 fairways in the first 40 holes. I missed 3 fairways in the rest of the tournament, and I couldn't play from the fairway. I didn't know what to do. So I did. Yeah, well, I could play wrong. I did take a penalty drop when I had a free drop. That's the first in my whole career I've ever done that. Normally I'd managed to figure out how to get a free drop from a penalty drop. But I think, as my friend Noel Fox said to me afterwards, finally you found an island in the Pacific that you never shoot over 70 on. It's kind of the stuff you dream of.
Yes, a good start to the year all round, though, in fairness, Padraig, with the first 2 weeks. A nice, gentle introduction to the year. And Shane, you had a nice break over the Christmas. You had 6 weeks off after Ned Bank, and you came back and went down and played in the Eurasia Cup, and that was quite an experience for you.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it was my first team event as a pro, so it was exciting to go down there. To get down there, it was obviously going to be different, but I had a great week, a great fun. Getting to know some of the other players and getting to see what it was like in the team room was great. Definitely it was one of the most enjoyable weeks of my career so far, and to go down and win like we did was nice as well. Obviously, if you look at it on paper, we were, a good bit the better team, and that was kind of our thing for the whole week, was to try and prove that right, and everyone played great. If you look at the foursomes, we only made 1 bogey as a team in foursomes, which was, is always pretty good, and that's the golf that everyone was playing all week. So it was just a great week to start the year, and now I'm looking forward to getting going next week.
It certainly was. Obviously Darren was captaining the team, and in fairness, it was a bit of a hospital pass after Paul captaining the last Ryder Cup team. He did what was regarded as the perfect job. Darren will do his own job, but you were impressed with the manner in which he managed the team, Shane.
Yeah, Darren was good last week. He seemed to do everything right. It's obviously easy when you're winning, winning by the margin we did. It'd be interesting to see what it'd be like if things went the other way. But he was great. He got the parents spot on. He's got these guys he's working with, the stats guys that brought the parents together, and it seemed to work well. And he's obviously got a big job ahead of him this September, one that myself and Padraig know or hope that we're involved in, but to go over to America is going to be a lot more difficult than going over to Asia, so it'll be interesting to see what it's like, but as regards last week, he was absolutely brilliant, and I really enjoyed it.
And it was a great partnership that you struck up with Andy Sullivan.
Yeah, it was.
You gelled well together, Shane.
Yes,
very similar personalities.
Yeah, he's a great lad. He's just great lad and a great putter, which is, it's always nice to be playing with someone like that. But we had a great time, and definitely someone I could see myself playing with in the future.
Padraig, you mentioned obviously a big difference, going over there and playing in a Ryder Cup than in a Eurasia Cup. Your first appearance was in 1999. It was one of the scariest experiences of your life, standing up on that first tee.
Oh yeah, very similar to when I played the Walker Cup in '91. Well, actually, it wasn't similar. In '91, McGinley made me tee off the first tee at Portmarnock, and we'd all been wound up about not hitting the clubhouse and not hitting it into the sea. And like by the time I went to hit the ball, I couldn't see it on the first tee. Luckily, I was wise to that, and I let Jimenez tee off on the first hole in the Ryder Cup. But I had a 7-iron to the green, and again, I'm standing over it, and eventually you get so nervous you can't see it. You actually have to tell yourself, okay, I've got to go and hit it. You eventually have to actually physically tell yourself to pull the trigger, which is, thankfully both shots were actually worked out very nicely. But yeah, it's one of the most exciting experiences, and certainly Brookline, I know for a lot of people they would have said the '99 Ryder Cup was a terrible experience. Obviously being in Boston and having all the home support, reasonable home support, it was the most exciting tournament I was ever at in my life. Even though we lost, I would still put it down. It was like being at a football match, people screaming at you, cheering for you, cheering against you. Nothing like it. I've won 3 majors and it wasn't anything like a Ryder Cup. And there is a huge difference with the Ryder Cup. If you're going to win a tournament, you come under pressure coming down the last 9 holes. Well, you've played well for the first 63 holes, so you're pretty confident going into those 9 holes. You can go into a Sunday singles match in the Ryder Cup, be the pivotal match, be on TV, have the spotlight, and you might have been playing horrible that week, and it's really hard to handle the pressure when you're not very confident. So the Ryder Cup is really unique in that sense, that you can really have to come up with the goods from a point of no confidence, whereas normally if you're asked to come up with the goods at a normal event, you've obviously played well to be in that sort of situation.
Well, speaking of coming up with the goods, you came up with the goods big style at the Honda Classic in Palm Beach last year, and it must have been a fantastic experience for you, Padraig. And you've won so many tournaments over the course of your career, but there were doubters there, and it must have been fantastic to silence them.
Well, I obviously don't listen to the doubters. I don't know what's going on in the real world at all. I keep my head down and do my own thing.
Allegedly.
I completely. I've never read anything. I know, I appreciate the journalists, but
Padraig thinks he's going to win this week and he's not even playing.
That would be pretty true. I read about other people, I see what's going on, but in my own world, nothing really changes. I will say I had dinner last week with Mark, I think his name's Mark Hatton. He's a, I don't know if you can say this these days, but he's a gambler himself, but he actually does the stats for a number of players on the tour. So he works
with Billy Horse on.
Billy Horse works with Brandt Snedeker. So he tells those guys, on this hole last year or for the last 10 years, anybody hit it down the left, there's 20% more bogeys made there, and there's more birdies made by guys who hit it 20 feet right at a hole here, and people hold the putts from this. He does all that sort of stuff. So it was like a tour dinner. We were at a official PGA dinner, and the players, and I happened to be sitting at the table with him, and I came a little later on in the night, and he had got a few glasses of wine on him, and he said to me at least 20 times, how did you win that event? You were at least 1,000 to 1 on Betfair. How? And I didn't know whether he was complimenting me or actually saying, you were so lucky. So, but I wouldn't realise that. As in, every day I turn up, I think, this is it. This is me going to win. This is me playing great. I don't see what everybody else sees. And to be honest, nobody else understands what's going around in my head anyway, so. But that's true, they don't have all the full facts. So, in the end of the day, I go out I think, Damien did sum it up very well, as Scary thought, and it's a pity you were getting more fun out of Damien and Peter, as we do when we're on tour. I haven't played in Europe in a while. I came back last year. The year before last, I wasn't in the FedEx Cup, and I played 4 events in Europe, and I couldn't believe what I had missed. It is so incredibly different with the Irish guys on tour, because we had that in 1996. Des Smith was like dad on tour in 1996. Christy Jr. and Eamon Darcy, you never saw one without the other. They were a bit like the 2 boys over there. You never saw one without the other, and they always had one line. they're either, like, it's a love-hate relate, they're either fighting with each other or they love each other. It's exactly like Eamon and Christy was in the day. But it's a tremendous atmosphere for the Irish guys when you put it there. There's a tremendous entertainment, tremendous fun. You're put in your box very quickly. You know, it really is. It's brought home. It's just an unbelievable experience. Obviously, Shane is coming to the States this year, and you know, from a selfish point of view, I'm thrilled about this. Having an extra person there to talk about Irish things, it makes all the difference.
You get on so well together as well, Padraig, don't you?
Well, that's only because we're trying to beat the hell out of each other on the chipping green.
Handy few quid for me on a Tuesday.
So he thinks. Ask him, has he ever won money off me in the bunkers?
Well,
No, when we get out of the bunkers, I'm good.
all jokes aside, though, it is fantastic to have a player of the calibre and the legendary status that Padraig has at your side now. And certainly, you know, I know you're going to be opponents, Shane, but he has been a great source of advice to you.
Yeah, he has, and like all the Irish lads have been great. You know, I remember when I came out on tour first, Murph getting in contact with me and making sure, like I said to Paul, you know, don't ever be on your own for dinner. Don't ever, you know, be on your own in the evenings, because there's no lonelier place in the world than having room service on your own when you've no one else to go out with when you're on tour. So yeah, like, you know, Damien Peer has been great to me. Murph, Padraig, you know, all the Irish lads, and like Collie says, having an Irish passport is, you know, having the harp on that passport is it means a lot on tour. And for me, like, I grew up, I was going to make Padraig feel old, but I grew up watching Padraig, you know, win his majors, and you know, watching him win his majors. Then for me to be able to come on tour and play practice rounds with someone like that, and you know, learn from someone like that is great, and take money off someone like that.
I'm obviously living in my own reality. I don't see this.
But yeah, it's great for me, and I've definitely learned a lot off him. I don't know what, you know, sometimes you feel like you probably shouldn't be listening to what he's saying. It's been great, and definitely it's helped me along the way.
I'm sure he hasn't sold you too many pubs. Padraig, you know, nobody could ever accuse you of being anything other than endlessly fascinating in your views on the game. But I was just looking at Bryson DeChambeau today, who was actually taking the lead in the Abu Dhabi Championship, and he seems like a guy now that you could enjoy a pint with. He's obviously a very, very talented golfer. He won the NCAA and he won the US Amateur, but he has all his clubs the same length as his 7-iron.
Yes.
And he also says that every time he gets a dozen golf balls, he tests them to see if there's any imperfections in them by putting them in Epsom salts and water. So he definitely sounds like a guy you'd enjoy a Heineken with.
I hit his clubs in Memphis. He played Memphis on an invite last year. He was practicing near us, so I actually went over and had a go with all the clubs to see what they're like. You know, if somebody told you that's the way it should have been when you were 5 years of age, you would have believed it. No problem. You know, I was brought up a different way. I will say, you say all his clubs are, you know, the same length as a 7-iron, and he plays with this one plane swing, but he changes it then for his woods. So he has two swings, even though he says all his irons are the same. The driver is swung like a normal driver. It's got the normal lie in it, so it clearly doesn't work for every club. He's just particularly talented. I think give him a normal set of golf clubs, he's going to do well.
Yeah, he seems a standout. I mean, he followed Jack Nicklaus, Tiger Woods, Phil Mickelson, and I think Ryan Moore was the only one to ever won the two of those together in the 1 year. So
he's pretty talented. He really is a good player, and it does help for an amateur coming out into the pro game. He's so used to being an individual, even in the amateurs. He's always had people looking at him, and he's had to be different, and he's doing it different. And that brings a huge amount of self-confidence when you're always being a little bit different. When you come to the pro game, you're going to be reasonably confident. He's not necessarily looking to anybody else to find confidence. He's committed to what he's doing. So I think that will really help him when he turns pro. That, you know, what he does is what he does. He's not looking to necessarily fit in with anybody else.
Yeah, he's certainly an exciting player, and the game is in rude good health, Shane. I mean, you're currently 21 in the world, and there's a lot of good players in the top 50 in the world. There's great strength and depth, but when you look at the top 5 in the world, I mean, there's some serious talent there. And I mean, obviously, you look at the likes of Rory, and you look at Jason Day, and you look at Jordan Spieth, and the only thing really that separates them is a couple of putts here and there, really, isn't it?
Yeah, the only thing that separates anyone at the end of the day is a couple of putts, but it's like, you know, golf, golf is probably as strong as it's ever been. You know, you're talking about the top 5 in the world, but you take someone who, I don't know, someone who's 95 in the world is still capable of going out and win the major tournament, you know. So it's a sport where, you know, most weeks between 120 and 156 guys tee it up most weeks, and probably 90% of those players are capable of winning that tournament. So it's one of those things. Obviously the top players, you know, Rory, Jordan Spieth, Jason Day, Ricky Fowler, Justin Rose, those guys, you know, Dustin Johnson, they're the most talented players in the world, and they're at the top of the game right now. So they're very impressive to watch. But like we'll sit here and tell you, nothing that if, you know, any of us had our A game, we could give them a go.
And you proved that as well in Bridgestone, Shane. You took, you know, on some of the great players like Bubba Watson down the stretch and beat them. I mean, and desire, as we said earlier on, that's so important.
Obviously, you know, that gives me great confidence as well. And you know, I'm walking down the back 9 of a big tournament, and you see Justin Rose, Bubba Watson, Jim Furyk behind you on the leaderboard, trying to chase you down. So it's just something that when I'm in that position again, I know I can do it.
And we hope you're in it many, many more times in the not too distant future. Padraig, just a word on the Olympics. You were a great advocate for golf in the Olympics, and it's one of these questions when, you know, you get asked by a journalist, and particularly as Rory and now obviously Jordan Spieth. Now there's no real right answer to any of these questions, but you know, Jordan was saying, you know, he couldn't really say whether it'd be better to win an Olympic gold medal or win a major. Adam Scott was quite forthright in his view. He felt his career would be defined by winning majors, but this is something completely different, isn't it? It's a great opportunity for you as a sportsman, if you did get to represent your country, to be an Olympian. It's something unique and different.
Well, I went to the Congress to get the golf. I spoke to get golf into the Olympics, so I've always been a big fan of it. At the time, this is 6-7 years ago, I thought I was going to be an Olympian.
It could still happen, Padraig. It could still happen.
Unfortunately, it could happen. Yes, but it's a big long shot. I'd love to be an Olympic athlete. I'd love to call myself an Olympic athlete. I think it's great for golf that we're in the Olympics. I know people disagree, and ultimately, yes, winning a gold medal in the Olympics this year is not as big as winning a major, but in 100 years' time, it may be bigger. And you know, ultimately, majors 100 years ago weren't what they are now. Times change, so I think people are wrong to judge it on this year. Even tennis, you know, all the tennis players when it first went into the Olympics would tell you they weren't interested, and now it's a big deal. And it will grow, and that's what will happen in golf. Nobody should expect the first time out to be everything it's going to be, but in 40 years' time, 100 years' time, you know, Olympic gold medal could easily be as big or bigger than a major, and your career will be judged on it. It's not judged on it today for sure, but in time it may be. And the fact is, golf in the Olympics is good for golf, and it's also good for the Olympics to have a game like we have there. So I know some players dissent, but I don't think they're seeing the bigger picture down the road. That, you know, it could be a big deal in 40 years' time.
Sure. Well, there may be dissenter, Shane, but like, you're a proud Clara man, a proud Offaly man, a proud Irish man, a proud European, and I'm sure nothing would give you greater pleasure than to take part in the Olympic Games under the Ireland flag.
I definitely, like, I was only talking to Roddy about it during dinner. You know, to walk out in the open ceremony with my Irish tracksuit on. Not too often we get to wear a tracksuit.
Sports stars revisited.
Wear shorts.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it would give me.
What a sight.
I would love nothing more than that. You know, like you say, I'm a very proud Irishman, and to go and compete under my national flag would be amazing. I think just the whole experience of the thing, like staying in the Olympic Village and watching the other events, and you know, hanging around with the other athletes would be it'd be something that you know, you could definitely tell your grandkids about in the future.
Are you going to wear shorts? We're allowed to wear shorts. Are you going to wear them
at the Olympics? No one wants to see my legs.
Well, Shane, in terms of experiences, I mean, obviously you had never been to Augusta before, not even as a fan, and you arrived at Augusta last year for the first time. Did it match your expectations? Did it exceed your expectations? And I know you had good crack with Padraig in the par 3 as well, didn't you, on that occasion?
Yeah, until I made a 7 on one hole. Augusta...
Hey, who won the money that day?
First time for everything. Augusta is, you know, people ask me about it. It's hard to describe. the only thing I can say is definitely the most amazing place I've ever been. And you know, to go there and to be able to compete there, and going back there this year, and you know, that's the first thing when I won in Firestone was like, you're back at Augusta. That's one you know, thing chalked off the list, and you know, just everything about the place is amazing. The golf course, the tournament, and it definitely is a golf course that I feel possibly do okay around there in the future. You know, I'm not going to say it's this year, but drove the ball really poorly last year there, which is very unlike me.
And you still only missed the cut by a shot.
Missed the cut by a shot, yeah.
The weather changed as well, Shane. And
yeah, I got unlucky, Dennis, and yeah, I remember that. But yeah, it's definitely a golf course I feel like I could do okay around. I'm not going to say I'm going to win a green jacket because I don't like doing that, but yeah, I do feel, you know, my short game felt really good. I feel like I like the grass to chip off, you know, so it's something that excites me about going back there.
Padraig, the British Open this year is in Troon, and I suppose that's a significant venue for you because you played in 66 majors, I think, at the stage, but your first top 5 was in Troon in 1997. What's your memories of that?
None.
You going back there this year? It's a long time ago. That was your first top 5.
Yeah, maybe you'd have to ask.
Caroline real lads.
But anyway,
Hold your bunker shot on the 18th, didn't you?
No, that was Lidham.
Was it?
Yeah, there you go. I did hold my
Playing with Fred Couples, I remember
yeah,
that.
on the 36th hole at Lidham, my first Open in 1996, I got a big draw because I obviously played Walker Cup, so the RNA looked after me. I played with Mark McCumber and Fred Couples. I came down the 18th and I held my bunker shot. I took the putter out of the bag. I was so nervous, so excited. I took the putter out. I'd already holed out. I'm standing there on the 18th green with 10,000 people in the stands cheering, and I'm standing with a putter. And I tried to go, Johnny, why'd you give me the putter? Which you do, experience like that. Genuinely, the hair stood up on the back of my neck, and I got so excited. There's nothing better than coming down the 18th at an Open Championship because the stands are colossal and they're full. And if you've done something good or if you're playing well, it's a great experience in golf. You get clapped from 150 yards up to the green, and one of the great experiences. I've had it a few times, a couple of times when I really did enjoy it. Didn't get to enjoy it at Carnoustie, obviously, because it wasn't a fun situation coming down the 72nd hole. But you know, certainly at Birkdale, I got to enjoy it, and a couple of other times. It's a very special thing. You know, in that situation, nothing like it in world golf again, bar the 18th hole at the Open Championship.
And Padraig, last year you came close as well. You led after 59 holes at St Andrews.
59 holes, and there's a few, I suppose, historians of the game here. And can anybody ever come up with a situation where the leader in the last round of the Open Championship lost the golf ball? I don't think it's ever happened. And the really upsetting thing is the amount of my friends who afterwards says,
I sent you the follow.
yeah.
Yeah, he was looking. I was watching on
Everybody's
TV.
watching TV. You should have been
He
looking
was
over
looking in the
there.
wrong spot.
So I actually
had
Looking like 10 yards away from the ball
Yeah.
was. And I was only like, he would have made a 5. You were only a club length in the bush. So I had
What might have been, Padraig?
Well, I actually asked the referees afterwards, and so anybody here, and a few of the journalists, a good few will have my phone number. If you see that situation happen again, I will be putting my phone on, and you can text me where my golf
And
ball
that's
is.
allowed, Padraig.
It's within the rules. I'll get fined by the European Tour for misuse of my phone, but I wouldn't be breaking
That's
the
fine,
rules.
but you possibly would have won the Open.
Absolutely, yeah. It wouldn't be. It's within the rules to use your phone for something like that, but not. It wouldn't be. You can do little things on your phone on the European Tour. You can check the cut line or something like that, but.
book flights if you're missing the
So many different applications.
Everybody's done a few little. Here we go. Well, you'd see as well, which we try to get away with, like when you're away. If there's a big game on, you have the phone on checking scores.
Oh yeah.
During
if Offaly are playing Westmeath or something.
No, we said a big game.
Speaking of Offaly playing Westmeath, you got involved in an initiative during the year, Shane. Was it the Faithful initiative where they're trying to improve Offaly GAA? So you might tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, they are. They're doing their fundraising now. They're trying to build a new state-of-the-art facility for training. So yeah, I met with the guys that are running it, and I'm trying to do something, but nothing has come of it yet. It's a very busy time for me, and I'm not sure if I'll be able to do something this year, but I'd definitely like to do something soon.
Being such a GAA fan, and of course with the heritage that you have with your dad, an All-Ireland medal winner, I'm sure, you know, to see Offaly come back and be competitive would be something you'd love to see in the not too distant future.
Yeah, it's hard to see it right now. Yeah, I obviously love GAA. I love everything about it. I go to Croke Park as much as I can. I go watch games, and unfortunately, when I go to Croke Park in September now, is to watch the Dubs.
The old Dubs. It's getting pretty repetitive at this stage, Shane, isn't it?
To watch the Dubs and cheer on Kerry. But,
and anybody else that might be playing.
Twice this year he sang Molly Malone duet with me.
Hey!
Twice!
You're going to convert him yet.
We're not going to sing it tonight. We had a few more on board than we did tonight, but we were at a wedding last year. And where was, then at our Christmas party.
Christmas party.
Yeah. But,
needless to say, I only know the words to one song.
Well, lads, on that note, just like to say, would you put your hands together, please, for two of our greatest ever golfers, great lads and great golf ambassadors, Shane Lowry and Padraig Harrington. Thank you very much.